You're listening to What She Said, a podcast for bloggers and creatives hosted by me, Lucy Sharif, a freelance journalist living in London. Each week I interview different women in blogging and the online world, getting their best blogging tips and advice, and a little bit of gossip too. Thanks for listening. Welcome to episode 19 of What She Said. This week I chat to the dreamy Emma of family lifestyle blog Mamalina all about her blogging journey to date. So I've followed Emma for a little bit of a while now, since my friend Nikki, who has the blog On the Changing Mat, introduced me to her amazing hippy musings, and she's got an awesome YouTube channel. And I was pretty happy to get to speak to her on the phone, and I've since met her in real life, which is awesome. So Emma works for Google. She works for YouTube actually specifically, so her journey started there, and the blogging kind of came afterwards, secondary to the video content. Her blog is full of parenting advice that doesn't follow the cookie cutter usual stuff, and everyday musings about trying to reduce waste, go vegan, and generally just life in general. She has a great fortnightly newsletter, which I would really encourage you to join. And she has such an awesome attitude about working in flow, about not following the rules, and about not taking things too seriously. For all of you non-techy types who hate being tied to doing things the way people tell you that you should, Emma is an awesome inspiration, and this episode is definitely for you. We also have a bit of an impassioned chat about social media and why you shouldn't feel tied to social media and why you shouldn't take it too seriously. I hope you love listening to it as much as I loved recording it. On with the episode. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being part of it. So for all the listeners who don't know who you are, would you be able to share who you are and your blogging journey so far?
Sure. So I'm Emma, and I run a blog called Mamalina. I have two minis. I've got Jack, who's 3, and Sunny, who's 1. And I actually started my sort of vlogging journey with YouTube, because I work at YouTube. And so I suppose I was learning quite a lot, and that inspired me to start documenting my kind of journey in my life, especially when I fell pregnant. So I started that about 3 years ago. And then after I started my YouTube channel, I started my blog probably about a year and a half later. Most people start with blogging and then move on to YouTube, but I did the opposite. And yeah, now two kids later, I'm actually back working at YouTube after 2 maternity leaves, and still trying to find that ever elusive balance between blogging, vlogging, working, vlogging, motherhood, and general life. So yeah, that's a bit of an overview.
So with YouTube, what attracted you to it at first? Have you always loved that kind of video content creation?
Well, like I was saying, I guess because I work there, I was always surrounded by people talking about video and vloggers and the power of the video medium. And I was pregnant at the time, and there weren't many mummy vloggers around. It was all quite new. And that's really why I gave it a go, just because I was in that world. Yeah. Blogging for me was completely alien. I didn't know anything about it. So I started with video. As it happened, I actually find the writing comes more naturally, and I absolutely love writing. So I kind of, the transition over to blogging was quite an exciting one, and actually one that happened really naturally, and one that I'm really glad that I did. But yeah, I started video because I was in that world.
Yeah. I actually, before I gave birth, I was devouring your YouTube channel, because I think a friend had recommended your blog to me, so I started following you via Instagram. And then I found your vlogs afterwards, and I was looking at your because your 2 births, are the 2 births on?
Yeah.
Is it just like, yeah. So your initial birth and then your water birth.
Yeah.
Is that the way around it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you got me into Clary Sage because when you filmed yourself.
Yeah.
I'll link the video because it's actually really brilliant. It made me feel a lot less scared.
Yeah, and do you know what? There's something, I don't know, maybe we'll talk later about blog versus vlog, but having, for example, like you talked about those birth videos, it's so special, and I still watch over them now, and I'm so pleased that I made them and that I have those like memories captured. Yeah, so my YouTube channel is quite special to me, even though I suppose I kind of enjoy, my blog a bit more.
Yeah, because of the writing.
Yeah.
So on your journey and with the blog, with the vlog, and social media, everything, what have you found have been the biggest kind of light bulb moments and growth game changers?
What's been the biggest game changers? In terms of bringing about growth on the platform.
Yeah.
So I'd say collaborations are really cool. They're cool for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's just really cool to meet people on the platforms and connect and be creative together. It's really, really fun, and kind of brings a whole new meaning to like networking and that kind of thing, because it's just it's awesome finding your tribe online, I guess, and then like doing something creative together. And then like piggybacking off each other's audiences is a great way to grow, because chances are like if you vibe with someone and like get on with them, then their audience is likely to kind of enjoy your kind of content if they enjoy that person's content. So it's really nice and natural. But on the flip side, yeah, doing collaborations with people who you don't properly connect with or who you have completely distinct audiences from, I'd say is not a good idea. Finding people that, yeah, you have similar vibes to and collaborating is a great way to grow. What else has been... I've been lucky to work with some brands, and the cool thing about that, aside from like being able to kind of monetize some of your content, is that brands are quite good at promoting you as well.
Yes.
I always ask a brand if I work with them to push things their side as well, and they tend to have way bigger audiences than me. So that's a neat way to get a bit of growth.
That's a really good point, actually. Sorry to interrupt, but I want to pick up on that point again, because sometimes when you first start working with brands, you feel almost, I don't know, like so excited by it, you don't think that you can ask them for things, but actually that's a good sign for them as well if you're pushing them to ask them to push from their side. It's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, I always try and ask for that. They can only say no, but more often than not, that it's not a big deal for them.
Yeah, and it's beneficial to them as well, really.
Yeah, exactly, because it's just pushing out content that's about them.
Yeah.
So what else? Collaborations, getting brands to kind of do shout outs about you. Other things that have brought about growth. Maybe just like going out on a limb a bit and talking about content that other people aren't necessarily discussing. I think makes you stand out a little bit and piques a bit of interest. It can also like bring about loss of followers.
Yes.
But more often than not, when I find that I've spoken about something that isn't like necessarily completely run of the mill, it sparks interest, and people find their way to you that maybe wouldn't have done otherwise. So I guess it's just about being a little bit brave and maybe stepping out of your comfort zone. I find actually always works out for the best.
I think so too. I think doing the different thing is always a good thing. I've always found that for me, the more vulnerable and the things that I'm scared to press publish on, it doesn't have to be like a super emotional thing, but I suppose, like you say, it could be something like you talking about no poo. And oh, I should clarify, no poo is no shampoo.
Yeah.
So things like that, or
exactly,
or having a plant-based diet, or really, anything that makes you stand out from all the other millions of lifestyle bloggers out there.
So exactly. So I guess those are the ways that I've seen like peaks of growth, I guess. I'll probably think of more.
And conversely, what are the things that have held you back? The stumbling blocks across anything really, any of your platforms?
Obviously, just being generally time poor. Everyone is time poor. No one is sitting there like just twiddling their thumbs. For me, I am very disorganized, and I'm also awful at anything tech related.
Oh, interesting.
So I get really, really frustrated about tech problems that I can't overcome and things that just keep going wrong for me. That's actually probably what led me to stop working on my YouTube channel, because I was getting so frustrated with editing and computers crashing and hard drives not working and memory cards breaking. I was just like, I was just like, screw this. I can't be dealing with this. And that's what led me to get involved with the blogging, because I thought this is much simpler. This is just about writing and pressing publish. There's not all the faffing around with all the extra little kind of production bits. So definitely I'm pretty tech illiterate. And
so how do you get past that though? Because your videos do look technical.
I've taught myself a lot, and that's the thing, right? Like, if you have a stumbling block, you do have to overcome it, and that's what's cool about what I'm doing. That's why I enjoy it, because I am learning and pushing myself, and I've had to learn editing skills to get over it. Doesn't mean I necessarily really particularly enjoy it, but I guess there's parts of the edit that I now enjoy, but it doesn't come easily to me. I much prefer just writing or being in front of the camera. Like, the tech stuff just drives me a bit mental sometimes. I have just got a new laptop, which is great, because the other one was killing me. But that's held me back, and that and disorganization generally.
I'm with you on that one. It's not my natural state, but I'm kind of working past it. But what do you put in place to kind of keep you organised? Because is it a weekly newsletter you have, or is it?
I've just made it fortnightly.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no technique. I have this article, I've probably got it here somewhere, that I read, and I think it's really interesting. Sorry for the background noise, I'm looking for it. Can't find
That's
it.
Okay.
I might talk about it at some point. Obviously, I can't find it because I'm not organised. But it's like talks about people making lists and trying to be productive, and like, you know, there's like a million different articles online that you can find, like 10 ways to be productive and all this stuff, like how to, there's all these people are obsessed. Yeah, we're talking about being disorganized and stuff. People are obsessed with like how to be more organized, how to be more productive, how to make more out of your day. And there's like a million different articles, right, about that. And the article is really interesting because he talks about like, actually, when I'm at my like most productive, it's when I'm not planning, it's when I'm not organizing, it's when I just sit and flow and don't make plans and see where I'm taken. And so what I mean by that, I guess, is I just have no structure for anything, and I guess if I feel like writing about a certain topic, then I'll just write about it. If I feel like editing, then I'll edit. Like, I don't actually plan what I have to do in my pockets of time or free time, which is really weird and probably really stupid, but for me it works well, because I find that I've tried doing lists and organizing, but if I like say, okay, Monday evening, I'm going to write a blog post around zero waste. And it gets to Monday evening, and actually, I really don't feel like doing that. I'm really knackered. And actually, I just want to do a bit of editing, stick my headphones on, and do that. Like, I can't predict how I'm going to feel. And so, for me, although it's tempting to be like, yeah, we've got to organize our time, like, life would be much better. For me, I just find it the opposite. I just find it much better to not be organized and just kind of go with the flow, and that's when I'm at my most productive.
I think it's a good way to be, but basically this comes down to you've got to know yourself and know how you work best.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Like, it's for me, I also work best when I work in flow and not against myself. Do you know Jess Lively?
No.
Oh, she's a podcaster. I think she's a blogger. She's on YouTube as well. She's kind of woo-woo, but she has some amazing podcast episodes about getting into alignment and into flow and all of these sorts of things. And I find it really, really helpful to give myself permission to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to trying to go against the grain, really.
Yeah.
That being said, how do you maintain productivity?
I'm really passionate about it, I think.
Yeah.
I don't find it an effort to be productive and to put out content, because I love putting out the content and I'm really passionate about the content. And if one week I find I'm actually feeling like I don't want to write or talk about this or that, then I just don't.
Yeah.
And although that said, like, that makes me feel a bit like weird, because everybody knows that like taking breaks on social media isn't a good idea, and then I kind of go all extreme and I'm like, I'm going to quit the whole thing, I don't want to do this. And that's just me knowing that I need to, take a break, and maybe I've been doing too much. And so, it is difficult. I struggle with the fact that because I am so passionate about it, it kind of can feel a bit overwhelming, or like it can just mean that I don't get much other shit done besides that, which is hard. So it's more like I need to stop myself working on it than actually motivate myself to work on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Like, you have to kind of hold back from going all out and then burning out.
Yeah.
I have a similar feeling. And actually, one of the things you mentioned when you talked about social media, that's actually one of the things that I find I'll either go all in on it and just go mad on everything, apart from Facebook, because I don't really like Facebook. And then I'll get to a stage where I'm like completely overwhelmed and I pull back. So I am a bit feast or famine, which is completely, like you say, it's the opposite of what most social media experts would say you should do. I'm definitely not consistent.
Yeah, but it happens.
It happens. Yeah, exactly. Especially when you've got little ones and
for sure
isn't your full-time gig. In terms of social media, you're really super active on Instagram. And actually, you post quite a lot. And I'm endlessly impressed with your output on Instagram. I'm presuming you don't have a content plan for Instagram. Do you just literally use Instagram as it was designed to be used instantly?
Yeah, I don't. I try and post once to 3 times a day. So maximum 3. Often 1, sometimes 2. It really depends. And sometimes I don't post in a day.
How do you find inspiration for the pictures?
Because, well, I have loads of I'm so visual, and so I look at any single scene and I'm like, I would love to capture all of this from various different angles, whatever. So I never have a problem with like content I want to put out. And also, if I start to over scrutinize what I put out there, then I just put my phone down and I say, this is ridiculous, and walk away, because I really, really, really try not to think too much about what I put out there. And depending on my mood, depending on how much time I have, depending on what I want to say, I just look at a picture or take a picture and upload it. If I find myself spending like more than, 5-10 minutes thinking what I want to post, then I remind myself that this is ridiculous and this isn't like real life. And that's because that is what I hate about social media, like the over scrutiny and the ridiculousness of it all. Like, it should be something that's fun and creative and an outlet that's there for you. It shouldn't, and it should be like a good thing. And when it starts to become over scrutinized and all this, then it's just I hate it, and that's when I want to pull away from it. So if I find myself like thinking if I think once or twice I've posted a photo and then deleted it, and I'm like, that sets alarm bells ringing. I'm like, this is really, really, really stupid, stop this, and just put my phone down and walk away. Basically, I just try not to care too much, because I don't actually care about I don't care about social media that much. Like, I know that sounds silly, but I
Not at
don't.
all, no, it sounds healthy to me.
I really don't care about it that much because it makes me angry when I know how much it affects people.
Yeah.
And has effect and can affect me, and like, yeah.
No, it doesn't sound silly at all. It sounds like a brilliantly healthy attitude to have. And I mean, for me, I only have 2,000 followers, less than. So technically, that should be easy for me. But actually, you've got about 15,000 followers. So for you to be able to say this really doesn't matter. I'm just going to post this, and I don't care if I lose 5 followers or whatever, is really good, because people that listen to this podcast who are new bloggers, that's something that they struggle with. Definitely it's something that I struggle with. I really curate my gallery on Instagram. I'm definitely not an instant Instagrammer.
Do you schedule it for like a time later on that day or something?
Yeah, further in advance. So at the moment I'm quite on the hoof, but normally I know what I'm posting for that week every day.
For the whole week you schedule like on a Sunday for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever?
Yeah, pretty much.
See, I can't do that because I have tried that. I can't do that because if I'm not feeling that way at the time that it's posting, I'm like, this feels really weird.
Yeah. I mean, that is the problem. And when I've come up against things like that, then I just don't post. I'll just wait until it sits better. And normally it's fine, and then sometimes, like yesterday, I literally posted, I knew the picture, but I didn't know the caption. So a lot of my pictures will have a completely unrelated caption because I save my captions for the day that I post, so that it's a bit...
Right, I see. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, but then I suppose it doesn't, because most of my captions aren't related to the picture, but...
Yeah, no, but that makes sense that you'd plan your pictures, because it's the caption that is your feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
More. But, and why don't you just post on as you go?
Because I find it, even though I'm quite a visual person, I'm not hugely creative, and my kind of Instagram aesthetic and what I'm drawn to are really styled pictures. And some days, in fact most days, I find that I just can't be bothered to set up a picture and style it. My house is dirty or whatever. I just can't.
But you could have a picture that you've taken like on Tuesday and then post it on Thursday.
Yeah.
I suppose it's just easier to pre-plan. Yeah, I mean, I've tried that, but again, it's probably a much better way of doing it the way you do it, and probably much more time efficient, but I
don't know that it is, though. I think you just literally have to go with what works for you. That works for me because it works for me because also I'm strict with my gallery, so I look at my gallery and those 9 pictures and I want everything to sit together.
Right, yeah. It's much more artistic for you, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I suppose that you've made it sound a lot nicer than it is. I'm kind of, massively OTT about it, but I guess we all have to just work the way we want to work.
Yeah, but your gallery is beautiful, and it makes sense that like everything's a bit more pre-planned, whereas mine is just way more haphazard, and
but still beautiful. It's different.
I don't look at it more because yours. Hang on, I'm going to put it up now. Just getting it up on my phone. It's like all got a distinct color tone and stuff, and it's really, really, really pretty. So I can see how it takes like a lot of planning.
But you're right, because sometimes I have to step back and I won't post for a week because I just can't be bothered to be worried about where a picture fits in at all. And I don't get paid for Instagram, so why would I spend so much time on it? So I just sometimes will pull away for a week and then just wait until the mood takes me and then come back. But I actually genuinely enjoy the gallery curation. I think if you didn't, then I'd say just don't do it because it will drive you mental. And actually, in terms of social media, I'm definitely more of a proponent of just do the social media that you love, because it's such hard work. And when you're a blogger, you're a one-man band, right? So
yeah, totally.
You have to be in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to YouTube, because I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard it over the past couple of years, but especially this year, video like content creation is so important. I am terrible with stuff like that. I just can't. I'm terrible. Instagram stories is about my lot, really. But how do you? So when you're planning, do you plan a vlog in advance? Do you sort of know roughly, like, okay, I'm doing this on Wednesday, so I want to film that?
So video takes a lot more planning, which is probably why I struggle with it, because you have to kind of think about a video, think what's going to go in it. I don't, but lots of people storyboard a video. And unlike with blogging, where you can just sit down, write a bit and then pick it up later, you can't do that with video. You need like a proper period of time we can film. The editing, you can be more bitty about it, but the filming has to be quite well organised. So I will think about what I film, but I find YouTube just a little bit more overwhelming because, well, there's obviously just so much you can do within one video. And, you know, you want to stretch yourself creatively, but you have a finite amount of time and resources, whatever. So it's tricky. But I do plan it vaguely. Or if I have, it depends. There's so many different types of videos you can make. So it really depends if you're doing like a chatty video where you just kind of talk about an issue, or if you're doing a vlog where you're filming throughout the day, or if you're doing like a bit of a kind of tutorial one. Like there's so many different types of content you can make. And again, there's like so many strategies behind each of those and how well they work and the different like methods you use. So it's a whole different world, video and YouTube.
I'm so in awe of people that I mean, there's vloggers out there who, even before it turns into their full-time job, and I'm not talking about the Zoellas and stuff who get paid a lot of money to do it, but even before that, who will do weekly and daily vlogs. And
I know. I think that my biggest struggle or like conflict is I never know whether to make a video or write about an issue. Like I still don't know that. I work for YouTube and it's still like a problem for me because I haven't something I want to talk about and I think, should I make a video about it or should I write about it? And sometimes I do both. But that's silly, and I wish that I could just focus on one or the other. I wish, like, I've got a friend, she just does video. Like, she's been asked so many times, you're going to start a blog, and she's like, no, I just want to do video. And I think that's brilliant, just to focus on one. But I like both. They're both really different, but unfortunately sustaining both is really, really tricky. Really,
really hard. Especially when it's like video, basically, because if two of your things are blogging and Instagram, then they can work quite harmoniously, can't they? Because you can use the images that you can kind of cross-purpose the content or whatever. But with YouTube, no, you can't really. What are your favourite types of videos to create? I love your travel videos.
Oh, thanks. It's difficult. Probably I like the day in the life vlogs because, much like I said in a blog thing the other day, which I think you commented on, like my favourite kind of blogs are the ones that I like for me.
Oh yes,
And it's the same for videos. Like I like the vlogs because I like creating that content and having those videos of my babies for me. And if like anyone else watches them, cool, but like I want to have that content for me regardless of anything else. So I love looking back on vlogs that I've made, like just really simple day in the life stuff. I like those. I do also like videos where I'm talking about a particular issue, like no poo, for example, because I love watching other people's videos about a particular topic and being educated on something. Whereas I actually don't like watching other people's vlogs that much. So I like creating the vlogs for me. I don't even mind if no one watches them. But I enjoy consuming other people's like informative content. So I like making that as well because I appreciate that is useful.
I think that's the best way to be. I I never write a post that I would be bored to read. Like so for example, I wrote a post once about 10 types of blog posts that you'll never find on my blog, and one of them was like a product unpacking or a haul, because I hate reading them. I just, fair enough, I don't have any judgment towards them. I understand why people like them, but I personally find them really dull. So I would never write one because it would be so counterintuitive to do so.
Exactly.
And I think one of the things that bloggers, especially new bloggers, really struggle with is feeling like they should be doing a certain type of thing. So if they see a lifestyle blogger out there, or whatever niche they're in, creating certain types of content, then they feel like they should be fitting into that. And I really think that it rings true when you're writing about something that you're not interested in, or you're writing about something just for duty. So,
what I would say is, see what people are doing, be inspired by that, but then put your own twist on it. Like, for example, equally, I don't like hauls either. However, I would be interested and have watched like a vegan mum's haul, because I'm interested to see what she's buying.
That's a good point.
Her family. So, and actually now people have asked me, like, can you do one? And actually I think I want to do one of those because I'm interested in them, for starters. And second of all, again, it comes back to like, I actually want that content for me to keep, to have. I want to know, like, when it comes to doing my weekly shop, actually that would be quite useful to have a video reminding me what I need to buy. So I think it's okay to be inspired by like popular trends, but put your own twist on it, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And actually, please do that post because that's something that I'd be interested in seeing as well. Yes, I was interested in other things that might have held you back, or things that you might struggle with, because I feel like you're the sort of person who, you're quite rebellious in a way. You literally just do your own thing.
Do I?
Well, you seem to. I don't know you really, so it's difficult to say. But from someone watching you, you seem to kind of not give too many fucks about what other people might think, and you create content and do things that you generally seem to love. Has there ever been a point though where you felt, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that?
About blogging or life?
I don't want to go too deep into things.
Okay, blogging.
Blogging,
I don't like, really, if I'm honest, the aesthetics of my blog, and I think that I find it quite dull. I don't really like it, and I want to change it. And I probably went with that because I thought like that's what other bloggers have. So that's probably my biggest regret, where I think that I kind of did something because I thought that's the way blogs should look.
I actually think in terms of aesthetics of blogs, we all do that. I don't know anybody that's started, well, like, there's those super kind of laser focused people that start with the end in mind and they create something completely from scratch. I think it's really hard to do, because unless you know what you want your blog to be at the end, and we're always evolving, I think it's really, really hard to... Yeah,
ironically, the blog that I started with, that was super basic, I actually kind of wish that I'd kept and might go back with, but I was like, oh no, that looks too basic. But now actually I think could be quite good, but we'll see.
That's a good lesson. Just go with your gut.
Yeah.
I still haven't remembered the question I was going to ask.
You can ask me later.
Never mind. It's really bugging me that I can't remember it. Oh yes, okay. So,
do you remember it? Is this it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Do you track your numbers? Do you track your stats and things like that?
On my blog?
Yeah,
everywhere.
On everything. Because I feel like there's kind of two different types of bloggers. I mean, there's some people I chat to that are really like, literally, I don't care about the numbers, but I'm sort of aware of them, but I don't care about them. And some that really, really track them a lot. I kind of sit in between the two, I guess. So I'm always interested to talk to other people, because I think that's another thing for new bloggers when you first start. And you've got, I don't know, you started your blog a month ago, you've probably got nobody looking at it apart from your mum, and you install Google Analytics, right? And then you're just refresh. Is there anybody there? And it can become really disheartening. So I'm always interested to hear what other people think. Yeah.
Honestly, I write about, like, I just like sharing shit. And, you know, like, I always kept a diary when I was younger. I've always written, always. And for me, this is just like an extension of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool that people read my stuff, and it's really lovely. And I've made some amazing connections, and, you know, now I'm earning a bit of money through it, and that's awesome. And of course, like, it is nice to know that your numbers are growing. But if I start to become really, like, focused on my numbers, I just want to slap myself, because I just think this is stupid. Like, this is really, really silly. Because they're like, you can probably sense, like, there's a big part of me that absolutely hates the online world. I hate it, and I don't hate it, but there is a part of me that hates it and wishes that I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, my husband has heard me say this so many times, like, what, like, you know, is this the right thing for me to be doing, for lots of different reasons? But anytime I think about that stuff, I always just come back to the fact that actually I really like communicating, and I really like writing, and and when there's something that I am passionate about, then I really like sharing it.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it. And and I don't really get the point of, like, obsessing over numbers, because if you're like that, why are you doing it if you just want to get numbers? Like, I don't see the point, because that just,
it's really hard, because obviously when you're working with brands, there's certain numbers that they want to know, and unless
of course.
But then at the same time, I think more importantly, there's so many people who start tracking numbers without actually knowing why they're tracking them, and that's when I think things can get really sticky. If all you're worried about is how many likes you get on Instagram or how many followers you have, but actually you're not monetizing anything at the moment, then it's literally all it's serving is your ego, and that is only a bad thing as far as I'm concerned. So I have the same battle probably as you, in that I'm not naturally a online person, but I also just love sharing massively.
Exactly. Like, obviously, like, if I post something in the morning, I will, like, if I see that I'm getting likes and stuff, I'll look back at the post and be like, oh, right, like, okay, I see. But I don't know. I just, like, there's basically a big part of me that really wants to rebel against the whole thing and really doesn't like it. And so, it's really tricky. I just try not to take it too seriously. Yeah. I think if it were my sole source of income, I'd probably feel really differently about it.
But even then, I think if it's your sole source of income, if you're making your money purely from affiliate marketing, and you need, and even then you don't need massive numbers, and you just need to know why you need the numbers you need, and then it's fine. Like, if you know you have to hit however much, like 100 views a month, which is tiny, but that's your bar, and then you make enough to pay your rent, then that's fine. But if it's like, oh, I just want to get more and more and more to validate my self-worth, then it's not fine, because
I think that, I don't know, I think that it can all get really, really bad and nasty, and especially Instagram. I know that there's a lot of people that Instagram makes you feel shit, and I know that even if I'm, like, in bed and I, like, happen to be scrolling Instagram, I'm like, I hate myself. So, like, I check myself, and I, like, put my phone down and, like, go and engage in, like, real life. And I don't know, I think that it can all get very unhealthy.
Taking it back a little bit to community, how do you build an engaged audience, and how important is that to you, having a community? Because one of the things that I love Instagram for is that I found my tribe there. I've met actual friends that I've met in real life there.
Yeah.
I've connected with so many people that way. And when you work from home, or you're a mum or whatever, that's really important.
Yeah. I think it's really cool to connect with people and have a community, and I've also made some friends through it. It's really it's cool. I like to meet people face to face, and I like to develop proper like relationships as much as possible with people, because like otherwise, I don't know, it's not really a relationship if it's just kind of, you know, it's nice to chat to people and actually like develop it and hone it a bit. I've met like probably, actually for me, like the absolute, and I told her this the other day, the best thing of my whole social media life is meeting this particular person through Instagram. And she's now like an extremely close friend. And I said that to her, I was like, you are the single best thing to come out of this whole world for me. Because like otherwise what's the point of any of it if you're not actually like creating connections and everything. So community and relationships and friendships and all that stuff that comes with it is amazing.
How do you foster it? Because there are some people who reply to every single comment. There are some people who literally don't have the time. There's people that I know that I'm friends with or whatever who've got like hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, and they physically can't.
Yeah.
It would be insane.
Yeah.
And nobody would expect them to, but equally they manage to kind of foster and community and make their followers feel important. How do you do that?
I really try and reply to comments as much as possible, because I just feel like if that person took the time to write to you, then you should take the time to write back.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not always possible. And it does depend on the kind of comment that person made, like, because equally, like, if I comment on someone's photo being like, so cool, like, I can't, you don't necessarily expect someone to write back, but like,
absolutely.
If anyone writes something of meaning to me, then I'm like, I definitely want to reply.
Yeah.
I
think you're really good at that as well, and on your blog as well.
Yeah, I always try and reply to people because, no one, my time's not any better than anybody else's time. So, if they find the time, then I should. So,
thank you so much for being part of the podcast. Where can everybody find you online?
Oh, well, my blog is www.mamalina.co, or on Instagram, I'm Mamalina UK, or on YouTube, I'm Mamalina. I think you'll find me. Come and say hello.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks for listening to What She Said. If you liked this episode or any of the other episodes, then please think about leaving me a rating and a review on iTunes, because it really helps get the show out to other awesome creators like you, and it's a little bit of an ego boost for me too. If you want to connect with me, you can find me over on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, everywhere at Wanderloose blog, or just head over to my blog, wanderloose.com, which is also where you can find the show notes for every single episode too. I love hearing what you think about the show, if it's good, and I try to reply to each and every one of you. Thanks for listening, and come back again next week.